Welcome to the Colaberry AI Podcast, brought to you by Colaberry AI Research Labs and the Carl Foundation. So, let's just get right to it. There's this huge question that hangs over so many people's heads. Can someone like me, without a technical background, actually learn data analytics? You hear about it, you see the jobs, but it feels like this exclusive club just for engineers. Well, today, we are going to bust that myth wide open. I'm going to show you exactly how it's possible.
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with that engineer-only myth. Then we'll talk about what non-technical even means anymore. I've got a simple 4-step path for you. We'll bust some common myths and wrap up with the real secret sauce, the power of structure.
Okay, let's dive into our first topic, the engineer-only myth. You know that feeling, right? That little voice of doubt that says, oh, that's not for me, that's too technical. It's a super common fear, and honestly, it holds a lot of amazing people back.
So is data analytics really just for engineers and coders? I mean, that's the real question, isn't it? You're scrolling through job postings, you see all this jargon, SQL, Python, and it's so easy to just close the tab and think, nope, not for me, I don't have a computer science degree. Well, let's get an answer to that right here, right now. And boom, there it is, a simple, straight-up yes. A non-technical person can learn data analytics and build a real career in it. But look at the second part of that sentence, with the right structure and guidance. That's the key. It's not about becoming a master coder overnight. It's about learning how to use data to make things better, to make smarter decisions.
So why do we even think this way? Where does this myth come from? And it makes total sense, you know? If you're coming from commerce or arts, or maybe you're a nurse or in sales, hearing terms like SQL or dashboards or AI, it sounds like a completely different language. The automatic assumption is that it must involve some super complex coding. But that's just not the whole story anymore.
All right, let's move on. We're going to redefine non-technical because your background is actually a huge strength.
Let's clear this up. When people say non-technical, what they usually mean is you don't have a coding background or a comp sci degree. Okay, fair enough. But here's what it absolutely does not mean. It doesn't mean you're disqualified from learning. It doesn't mean you lack business insight, and it definitely doesn't mean you can't solve problems. Actually, it's the opposite. Your experience in your own field, that's your superpower. A sales expert knows things about customers that raw numbers will never tell you.
Think about something like spreadsheets. We've all been there, right? Well, today, it's less about you doing all the manual calculations and more about letting the tool do the heavy lifting so you can focus on what the numbers actually mean.
And dashboards? Same idea. Instead of you having to stare at a million data points to find a trend, the important stuff just stands out. It's highlighted for you automatically. It's like having a little assistant who's constantly pointing out, hey, look over here, this is important.
And reports have got a major upgrade too. It's not just about looking in the rearview mirror anymore, seeing what already happened. Now they can help you understand what might happen next. And that's a total game changer, because it means you can be proactive instead of just reactive.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? Let's walk through a simple 4-step path to get you from uncertainty to clarity.
So here it is, the whole roadmap. First, you learn how data actually helps make decisions. It's all about context. Then, you start playing with some beginner-friendly tools. Step 3, you learn to use AI as your personal assistant. And finally, the most important part, you practice on scenarios that you'd actually see in the real world.
And this is a really important point, so I want to make sure it sinks in. You are not building the AI. Let me repeat that. You are not building the AI. You're just using the tools that have AI already baked in. It's a huge difference. Think of it like this. You're learning to fly the plane, not design the jet engine.
All right, time for a little rapid-fire myth-busting. Let's tackle those nagging doubts head-on.
First up, the big one. I need to be a math genius. Sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so.
Nope. The reality, most analytics is just basic math. The software does all the complicated stuff for you.
Okay, next myth. AI just makes it all harder. You hear AI and you think, great, another complicated thing I have to learn. Actually, it's the exact opposite. AI-powered tools are there to reduce your manual work. They find the patterns for you, so you can be the smart human in the room who figures out what it all means.
And the last one, the big kahuna, tech careers are only for engineers. The idea that there's some kind of exclusive club you can't get into?
The reality? Absolutely not true. So many amazing data analysts come from all sorts of backgrounds. Think about it. A marketer who understands customer journeys, a finance pro who gets profit margins.
Their real-world knowledge is priceless. That's what makes them so good at their jobs. Okay, so this brings us to the final and maybe the most important point. If it's not about being a tech wizard, what's the real key to success?
Here it is. The single biggest challenge isn't your ability. It never was. It's about having clarity and structure. Without a clear roadmap, anyone would get lost. It's about cutting through the noise and having a plan.
So a successful journey needs a few key things, right? You need concepts explained in plain English. You need tools introduced one small step at a time. You've got to work on real business problems, not just textbook examples. And crucially, you need some mentorship for when you inevitably get stuck. You need a program that's actually designed for career switchers.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. Your background, it's not a weakness. It's an advantage. It is your secret weapon. So the question really isn't if you can learn this stuff. The real question is, how are you going to use all that amazing knowledge you already have to become great at it? Thank you for listening in. Subscribe and follow Colaberry on the social media links in the description, and check out our website, www.colaberry.ai/podcast, for more insights like this.